Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. A lot of Republican Christians talk about grit. How, you gotta pull yourself up from your bootstraps. I'm naming their cliches. And that you have to be ruggedly independent and chase after what you want. And essentially be ruthless in competition, right? The Americana spirit of the right-wing party is all about not being a sloth and idle and lazy and not accepting handouts. So this is what their rhetoric says, right? So due to that, I wonder why they fear having to convince the illegal Christians who are crossing the border. The majority of illegal immigrants are Catholics, right? They come from Christian countries. So why is it that American Christian Republicans do not want to give their form of political ministering to these individuals? They say they're all going to vote Democrat. They're all going to vote for the liberals and progressives who allowed them to come here and give them handouts. But why are the Republicans giving up before they even started? Why are they being so defeatist? Why are they not going to those people and trying to convince them of their ideals? Because in their mind, they're already defeated. So it just goes to show you the double standard that these people have within their own party and within their own philosophy. Because if their mission is to make America full of patriots and to get rid of the progressives, hedonists and stuff, why wouldn't then they want to be the first ones at the border towns, or the first ones to speak to these people and try to persuade and convince them of their ideas and why it's superior? I often look at the Republicans as they do a lot of talking now. You can just see they just do a lot of talking. They don't actually believe in what they say, because if they did, why wouldn't they want to talk to these hard-working people who risk their life to come to the country? Why wouldn't you want to take that productive, brave, bold individual and say, hey, this is what our party platform is, this is what we're about, here's what the other people are about, and then sell your idea to them? See, Republicans, women who are Christians, they claim to be trad. Yet, they are not more traditional trad than the Christian rural women of the Latin countries. Think about that. A lot of these rural Mexican women, Guatemalans, Hondurans, you name it, Salvadorians, they're actually more traditional. And they actually have more religiosity and a lower body count. And they actually have a lot more cooking skills and whatnot. So why wouldn't these American Christians, who are very modern and liberal, want to learn from these women about how to be a wife, how to be more trad? It's fascinating. Why would those Christian women seek to destroy their fellow Christians? Why is that? And if Christian women in America want to have children, but a lot of American men, due to poor diet, drugs, and alcohol, are having very low sperm counts and are becoming bisexual, why wouldn't they then want to seek out fertile, rural, unstained migrant husbands? They have higher fertility counts, they've been less polluted by social media, right? They are prime stock. It's just they don't have the finances yet. So my question is, why do Christians preach about this fraternity, they're so loving and whatnot, but yet when Candace Owens goes on Timcast and she's talking about mass deportations, she's foaming at the mouth and has this bloodlust to essentially take illegal brides from their husbands who are citizens, and for the children who they call anchor babies to be kicked out of the nation. So follow me here. You're gonna have some males who will marry an illegal immigrant, have a child, the mom, she's illegal, have a child. The child's born here, so they have a social security number, but Republican Christians will say, you know what, we're going to take that status away. Your kid is going to be kicked out to Mexico. So you're taking first graders, kindergartners, and they don't know anything other than America. And they're going to lose their dad, lose their friends, lose their community. The mom is going to be a single mom put in Mexico with no resources and no family. And they think that is going to make society stronger by tearing down families and creating people who have resentment towards American Christian Republicans. That is their winning strategy. How is that winning? Right? Now, if Republican Christian males are so brave, why do they think they're above going to people and talking to them and expressing their ideas? Really examine that. If you feel like your ideas are superior, what is stopping you from talking to people about them? They have this just plain defeatist mindset. Oh, they'll just keep voting Democrat and Republican, and, they just want handouts, they just want this. Meanwhile, there are lots of morbidly obese Republican Christians all over America who are on the public dole and shop at Walmart, eat at Golden Corral, chug Mountain Dew, and have diabetes, and are not very productive. Yet, here comes some Catholic Latinos across the border who know nothing but hard labor, and you think that they are inferior to the American glutton. I find that to be quite bizarre. Quite bizarre. Americans, we have had it very comfortable for a long time. We have had a squishy existence with suffering, different kinds of suffering, right? But economic prosperity, modern plumbing. I mean, we have quite a lot of hospitals and community clinics. So we have often forgot the trial of rural living and rugged living and subsistence living. These migrant farm workers are necessary, I think, for our economy, because they will push the men to stop being so idle and lazy, in my view. Republicans will say the free market, competition in the marketplace, competition, blah, 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 you don't need government regulations, the cream will rise to the top. But then, when these migrants are coming in to compete, they're like, well, actually, you're to blame for everything, you lowered my wage, no one wants to pay me this amount, now it's a race to the bottom, so you have to go. But they don't look to the business owner who wants money and wants to get capital and then uses that labor, right? And all the elites, Republican and Democrat, they need in that lower margin of people to do those hard, tough, dirty jobs. Not everybody can all be rich and at the top of the pyramid. It's just not the way the hierarchical capital system works. And so there's always going to be people on the bottom and in poverty, or who aren't going to be in the upper echelons of society. So regardless of the immigrant being there, you're still going to have people who can't be absurdly rich. And so the poor in America who have cars, who have a decent public transportation, there's a lot of programs and benefits for people, right? Our poor are fat. Our poor are not anorexic with parasite bulging bellies, okay? We have dollar stores, we got all kinds of stuff to help people get by, food banks. The poor here actually have running water. So we do have a lot to offer in our country to people. And America does not belong to any race or religion, and it never will, because there's always been multiple religions here, regardless of it belonging to Christians for a time. Christians conquered and killed and massacred and took over and won their land, and they lost it now to the progressives, right? The atheists and the occultists. So, if they really wanted their country back, why would they want to turn away all the Christians who are coming across the border? If you polled these people, the majority of them are Catholic, right? They got the rosary, they got the Virgin Mary tattoos, they got the Virgin Mary necklaces, the Virgin of Guadalupe. They got all their little Catholic cults. So if you wanted to take back your country, wouldn't they want rural, traditional, masculine, trad, and also trad women to come into their country? Wouldn't that make them stronger? But in reality, they don't actually want a Christian theocracy. They don't actually want Christians in their country unless they're the certain brand of Christianity. And they must not actually value hard work and masculinity, because if you did, you wouldn't be angry at masculine migrant farm workers who work a very tough job and who have survived the heat of Mexico, the desert with all of its dangers, and who were willing to risk their life, who suffered in some of the worst conditions to come to America. Think about it. Think about it. Who has proven that they want America more? The one who pays or the one who risks their life? It's easy to fork over money. It's not easy to put on your boots and trust that a coyote trafficker isn't going to just dump you in the Rio Grande and take your money. That is something. Think about all the traditional Christian women who were R-worded just so they could come to America. You're telling me she doesn't deserve to be anything in America just because she couldn't pay to get in? Her body suffered. It doesn't make it right. Of course it's not right to always come illegally. But think of the viciousness of a Christian woman like Candace Owens, who thinks that the woman who was R-worded to come here should be deported, and her kid, let's say she gets married, should also be deported as well, and have their U.S. citizenship taken away. That's not compassionate. And yet they have the audacity to say that Islam is barbaric and primitive, when you have modern American Christians who are excited to tear apart their fellow Christians. If you really did want to defeat the liberals and their rainbow mafia, wouldn't you want to invite more people in who are intolerant towards that flag? Because a lot of the rural people, they were not exposed to men in dresses and eunuchs and all that nonsense. So they're not gonna like it. Wouldn't you want them on your side? Wouldn't you want to go to them and say, hey, this is the battle plan. This is what we're about. Yes, these people helped you get here, but, you don't always have to vote for them. It's really interesting that the Republicans are not interested in trying to persuade and change minds of those who arrive. They view those migrants as less than them. They view them as almost non-human because they don't want to treat them with respect just because they lack a piece of paper. I really find that interesting. The migrant has proven themselves by sacrificing their safety, their wealth, and their life, risking their life essentially to get here. And when I see Christians screaming at the buses of migrants with children coming off, the Christian Republicans are screaming at Christian children. Look at that. Think about that. Just because they don't have a piece of paper. There is no fraternity among Christians. Us Muslims are called to be one ummah. If a Muslim is undocumented, I am not going to hate them. I will not turn them in. I will not think that they are less human, and I will not hope for their demise or want their family to be torn apart. I will simply just hope that they get that silly paperwork thing taken care of. Christians think that they can hold on to their country by stopping other Christians from coming in. I think that's quite odd. It's weird how no one has explained to them the hypocrisy and absurdity of their position. It's almost as if they're astroturf propping talking heads who really just want pain to spread. And that they say talking points they don't actually believe. Because if you actually believed in your religion, you'd put the religion before your government. So in actuality, if these Republican Christians contend that America is a secular democracy, they actually are putting the secular democracy and the atheist ideals of bureaucracy before their Christian brethren. So they're putting the secularists before their religiosity. They're putting their God second and putting the secular state first. They seek to destroy their fellow Christians by deporting their families and doing mass deportations of millions of people, instead of finding a way to fix the border and then allow those who haven't broken any other laws and who are just doing their thing and being good people to stay and get their green card. They fetishize the American passport more than their fellow Americans' ability to have a family and start integrating new cultures into their society. America was always multicultural. Something to think about. Let me know what you think.